Hi, everyone. My name is Maytal, and I'm with the Azure Security Center team. I'm very excited to be here and share with you all the new capabilities Security Center is announcing today. We have a packed agenda with some cool announcements like Azure Defender, new experiences, and multi-cloud support. So let's get started. We can't start talking about Azure Security Center without understanding the most critical security challenges it addresses. Rapidly changing workloads is what the cloud provides. However, this is both a strength and a challenge of the cloud. It empowers users, but at the same time, how can you make sure these ever-changing workloads are protected according to security best practices? Attacks are getting more and more sophisticated, especially when running workloads in public cloud, and in effect are internet-facing. Visibility into security and compliance is also critical. The number of security alerts and feeds far outnumbers the number of administrators with the necessary background and experience to triage and react. Having an end-to-end visibility into your security and compliance and staying up to date is a constant challenge. Azure Security Center is a unified infrastructure security management system built exactly to address these challenges. It provides you with the tools to strengthen your security posture on the one hand, and protect against threats with advanced threat detection capabilities on the other, integrated together in cloud speed to help you get secure faster. Before announcing the exciting new capabilities we're launching today, let's recap some of the top capabilities we already released in the past year since previous Ignite. We had many capabilities reaching maturity and general availability in different areas of the product, from policy management, automation, vulnerability assessment, and new advanced threat protection capabilities. So now that we touched on some of the key deliveries of past year, I want to move to the first announcement and introduce Azure Defender. The threat landscape is becoming more complex with increasing sophistication of attacks and wider attack surface. Security teams struggle to manage the environment with multiple solutions that are often not integrated and built as silos. Microsoft offers a unique approach that empowers security professionals with both SIEM and extended detection and response tools from a single vendor with an emphasis on integration so that defenders get the best of both worlds. With this combination of SIEM and XDR, defenders can now focus on what's really important, namely mitigating threats, and spend less time on infrastructure or a large volume of low-fidelity signals. Today, we're introducing Microsoft Defender, an XDR that manifests itself in two tailored experiences: Azure Defender for protecting Microsoft Azure and hybrid workloads, and Microsoft 365 Defender protecting users, devices, and applications. As part of this bigger story, I want to focus on Azure Defender as it's an integral part of Security Center. Azure Defender is not only a branding update, but also gets a new focus in Security Center experience. It's the first time you can now view and monitor all the advanced threat protection capabilities and advanced controls under a single pane of glass in a new dedicated dashboard. We have rearranged all the existing threat protection capabilities into a better, improved experience, which I'll show you in just a minute. In addition, a Security Center evolved and grown to better address the ever-changing threat landscape and was enhanced with significant set of capabilities. We wanted to reflect this in its main experiences as well. This is why we're introducing also a new main dashboard that helps you focus your experience on the main pillars covered by Security Center: Secure Score, compliance, asset visibility, and of course, Azure Defender for the threat protection capabilities. So without wasting more time, let's look at the demo. So this is the new Azure Security Center main dashboard. As promised, clean, clear, focuses on the main KPIs you should monitor: Secure Score, compliance, asset inventory, and Azure Defender. You can easily track your Secure Score and understand how many recommendations are completed, what do you still have to achieve. You can see your compliance view and the frameworks you've selected and your status of them. You can see how many resources are tracked by Security Center, how many have healthy issues and need to be addressed, and of course, your coverage from Azure Defender on your environment. In addition, we have a new insights pane on the right where you see interesting insights and notifications for new introduced announcements. For example, most prevalent recommendations by number of resources. You can see highest controls with potential increase. You can see most attacked resources, and even some of the new blog posts from our tech community. Let's look at Azure Defender. The Azure Defender dashboard gives you at a glance visibility of your protection status. In the top part, you can see all the resources that are covered, and of course, those that are not. For example, in my environment, only 86% of the resources that have Azure Defender capabilities are protected. You can easily understand where is the gap and where you should address. Of course, you can also see the security alerts for the last 30 days, understand if there are increasing trends or interesting points to investigate. And here at the bottom, you have the advanced protection controls where you can easily see the status of each of them, how many are protected, how many are not, and drill into the specifics. For example, VM vulnerability assessment. Unfortunately, I see 55 servers are not protected. I can see how many doesn't have application control enabled and how many SQL vulnerability assessments are not enabled as well. I'm super excited to introduce the new multi-cloud support added now to Security Center. This has been a long-running ask by our customers. As we know, consistency around security has always been a desired goal, as much as it's a challenging task for security teams. We're now able to provide such a seamless solution leveraging Azure Arc. Before diving into multi-cloud in Security Center, let's understand what Azure Arc is. Azure Arc simplifies governance and management by delivering a consistent multi-cloud and on-premises management platform. By projecting your existing resources into Azure Resource Manager, Azure Arc enables you to manage your entire environment in a single pane of glass. You can now manage virtual machines, Kubernetes clusters, and databases running in other clouds as if they are running in Azure. Security Center leverages Azure Arc, at this time focusing on servers and data services for exactly this goal, expanding its security management coverage beyond Azure. Almost any operation Security Center performs on Azure resources can now be done on multi-cloud and hybrid ones. Security management and governance is easily achieved by leveraging Azure Resource Manager, from applying policies through installing extensions and up to managing RBAC permissions. Once onboarded to Azure Arc, all other known and used capabilities offered by Security Center simply work. From security posture and compliance, policy management, Azure Defender for servers and for SQL, and of course, all the automation and management capabilities offered by Security Center today. One management, one view, one solution for all platforms. Now let's look at it live. So let's get back to the main dashboard. Now this is a different environment, and as you can see, as part of the single pane of glass, I can see I have 6 Azure subscriptions, and I already have AWS account connected and 3 GCP projects. What does that mean? Let's take a look at the multi-cloud connector section. Here you can see the already connected accounts, either from AWS or Google Cloud, and you can easily track and monitor them. You can also see how I can add very simply a new account. This is, for example, connector for an AWS account. I need to put in some basic and role assignment so I can give credentials to Security Center to access that account. Now, the more interesting part is the next step, where you select properties for Azure Arc configuration. This means that Azure Security Center automatically identifies AWS EC2 instances and onboards them to Azure Arc for you. You don't need to install the agent. You don't need to configure it. We do it for you automatically. How great is that? So let's take a look at the recommendations blade. Let me filter for a minute AWS recommendations. As you can see, they're fully integrated into the Secure Score controls. This means they impact the score in addition to your Azure recommendation, and if you connected, Google Cloud recommendations as well. This means you have one score to track your security posture across the different cloud providers. Let's take a look at the EC2 instance that was automatically onboarded by Security Center. I already have a recommendation on those machines. To install the log analytics agent, I can automatically remediate them with a quick fix remediation we offer today also for Azure resources. And we also recommend to enable AWS Security Hub in every account and every region. This enables Security Center to pull more information and give you better coverage on your AWS accounts. So let's take a look at how alerts look like coming from AWS instances. Let me select a specific alert on an EC2 machine. So I have here an alert for suspicious authentication activity. As you can see, the affected resource is an Azure Arc machine hosted in AWS. I can see details about the attack or the attempt, of course. I can see information about the resource itself and where it's connected to. You can even see what part of the kill chain this alert applies to. In this case, it's a pre-attack. You can take a look at the next action you should take, where you have information on how to mitigate this threat exactly, and of course, how to prevent future attacks by taking preventive measures and applying security recommendations. So this is the multi-cloud experience in Security Center, fully integrated and easy to monitor in a single dashboard, in a single management. I know this was very exciting to see, but we have much more to show you today. Let's talk about some of the security posture management enhancements. The recently added asset visibility experience is generally available today, offering a single view of all your monitored resources by Security Center with easy filtering, ability to query in Azure Resource Graph, and more. Exploring your security posture has never been easier. I'm also very excited to announce the Secure Score can now be adjusted in a smarter way with finer granularity. This means that you can exempt specific resources from Secure Score, providing proper justification and with the ability to monitor and track these exemptions, so your score is not impacted by irrelevant or already mitigated resources. In addition, you can apply more granular configuration to your vulnerability assessment solution by applying rules based on the vulnerabilities important to you. This way, you control what vulnerabilities are shown. Lastly, I want to share that in the past year, we added a large set of tools to enable users deploy and manage Security Center at scale. From Logic App templates, PowerShell scripts, built-in Azure policies to deploy Security Center configurations, extended APIs, and remediation scripts. In addition, a new out-of-the-box report for tracking your Secure Score is now available for you to use. Let's see some of these capabilities live. One of the pain points customers have when trying to increase the Secure Score is that some resources cannot be mitigated or just irrelevant. Exactly for that, we're enabling today applying exemptions to your resources. So let's take a look. For example, with the same recommendation we've seen before, Log Analytics Agent should be installed on Azure Arc machines. When I look at the recommendation, I can already see I have one exempt resource. This means this resource is not counted towards the Secure Score. I can select any resource I want, click here, create exemption. I can provide justification category, which means either it's mitigated or a waiver. Let's say it's mitigated, and justification details, for example, mitigated by a third-party solution. So we can track it and make sure exemptions are managed correctly. Just click Save, and this will create an exemption on any policy assignment on this scope. Let's see how you can manage now vulnerability management solutions within Security Center. Our vulnerability solutions offer many different vulnerabilities. As you can see, I have pages and pages of vulnerabilities, but not all of them are important to me. For this exactly, we are enabling you to disable rules based on the different categories relevant to you. You can disable security findings by ID, by category, by CVSS score, and by severity and more. For example, here, I already have a rule for only showing high severity alerts. I'm not interested in the low and medium one, so I don't want them to impact my score or clutter my priority. As I mentioned, we added a lot of community tools available for you to use. The one I want to share with you today is an out-of-the-box report available to track Secure Score. This is an example of this report. As you can see, I have my aggregated score across my 3 subscriptions. Of course, you can select any subscription scope. I have it over time, which is very important to track and see fluctuations and trends. I can see daily changes from the score and maybe reasons, possible reasons, because either the security status changed, resources were deleted, or new resources were added. I can investigate specific secure score controls and see if we're getting better or worse. And I also have other granularity for specific resources. This report can easily be achieved by just applying a few clicks. Let me show you how. This is Azure Security Center GitHub repository. Under Secure Score, you can find 2 important sections. Get Secure Score data, which is a logic app template you can just deploy to your environment by clicking here. This will collect your Secure Score data into Log Analytics workspace once a day. After you did this, you go to the Power BI Secure Score report and either download the report itself, or you can create it from an application on Power BI service. That's it. You will get the same report I just showed you very easily with just a few clicks. Azure Defender is not only a rebranding and new experience. With Azure Defender, we make sure to offer best-of-breed threat protection capabilities to help defenders deal with the ever-changing and challenging threat landscape. Azure Defender protection is enabled via dedicated hero offerings to the most used Azure resources, and we keep on expanding our coverage for more Azure resources over time. Azure Defender is also focused on breadth protection for all resources in Azure, leveraging AI and security expertise to analyze signals from the Azure Network Fabric and more control plane service level signals. Azure Defender is also protecting non-Azure resources, doing so via the newly announced multi-cloud onboarding in Azure Security Center and Azure Arc. This applies not only to servers, but also data services, enhancing our Azure for SQL reach beyond Azure. We're announcing today Azure Defender for SQL Anywhere. Leveraging Azure Arc, we can create a native Azure experience to all the SQL servers outside of Azure, and by that, extend protection capabilities to SQL resources outside of Azure. By enabling Azure Defender for SQL, you can enjoy Azure Security Center multi-layered protection, SQL, OS, and service layers across hybrid SQL estate, even if your SQL servers are running outside of Azure, on-premises, and other clouds. The integration with Azure Arc extends the current Azure Defender for SQL offering, including its advanced threat protection and vulnerability assessment capabilities for SQL, anywhere it is, on Azure, other clouds, or on-premises. It also comes with its own new announcement. You can get a glimpse of some of the announcement, but to learn more, check out the Introducing Azure Defender session by Ben Klieger. So many new and exciting news. Unfortunately, now it's time to wrap up. What I've shown today is the evolution and growth of Security Center, clearly covering 2 main pillars: Security Posture Management, which is our free tier, and Azure Defender, which is all the threat detection capabilities formerly known as our standard tier. Azure Defender covers servers, native workloads, service layers, and more, both in Azure and in other public clouds and on-premises. All of that, of course, is an integral part of Azure Security Center. So many new features, so many new capabilities to check out. So what you should do next? Start by enabling Azure Security Center on all your subscriptions today. Review and follow the top 5 security recommendations to improve your security posture. And of course, enable Azure Defender to get maximum protection for your workloads. Thank you for taking the time to review with me the greatest and latest from Security Center. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Make sure you tune in to our other cloud security sessions.